Hi, today we're going to be continuing with the work that we were learning last week on how to use ourselves as a model because if you're from home, sometimes it's really difficult to find somebody to pose from you, so we can be our own best model. So I'm going to be doing a kind of mini live drawing session using myself as a drawing. I'm going to get started with 3 1-minute warm-ups, and then I'm going to do something like probably about a 12-minute drawing. And we're going to be using chalk pastels today. So very cheap material that you can find anywhere. It works best on colored paper. So yeah, we'll go over the techniques that we've been exploring on other videos, but this time by doing a self-portrait. So if everyone is ready, I am going to get started with a 1-minute warm-up. I'm probably going to do it a bit faster. I'm going to aim to. And I'm going to choose a nice blue to contrast with my pink paper. And my first warm-up is going to be blind drawing. So I'm going to set up my timer to 1 minute. And I'm literally going to be looking at myself. And I am not at all looking at the paper, so it's gonna come out as a bit of a disaster, but that's absolutely fine. Okay, and I'm gonna stop over there. And this is my result of my blind drawing. I'm gonna get a nice contrasting color, and I'm gonna do my next one that is going to be also 1 minute, and I'm gonna use wrong hand. So the hand that I don't normally use for drawing, so instead of using my right, which is my hand that I normally use, I'm gonna use my left. And 1 minute is starting from now. So for the wrong hand drawing, you can look at the paper. So notice I'm always starting, dividing the face onto 3. I'm putting a line where the nose is, so I get my facial proportions right. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you might want to check another one of the previous videos I've done on portraiture, where I explain about basic proportions. Yeah? And I use this system of dividing the face onto 3 from the hairline. It's coming up pretty funky. Okay. So this is a good example of how to make your warm-ups interesting, just using contrasting colors to the paper. It makes it more fun. Okay, and for my last one, I'm going to do both hands again. I really enjoyed doing that one last week, and I'm gonna pick some yellow. So this one is going to be drawing with both hands at the same time. 1 minute starting from now, and it's our last warm-up. You can see how difficult it is sometimes making the videos with the camera right next to my face. Okay. Okay, so that warm-up is finished, and this is a result of my 3 disastrous warm-ups. Okay, so from here we're gonna go on to what I'm hoping is going to be 12 minutes. I might have to extend the time because with pastels it's a little bit hard. Actually, I'm gonna be kind on myself, guys. We're gonna do it 15 minutes, yeah? So if you're doing pastels, basically, you will need more time because it's more laborious. Yeah, so if you start with a 15-minute drawing and then continue with perhaps 25 minutes, perhaps afterwards a half an hour. So I've selected already my lights, mediums and darks. It's very important that you pick your palette, pick colors that are gonna go well with your paper, and I'm gonna set up the timer for 15 minutes. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is that with charcoal, I'm going to draw an egg shape, and I'm going to do it very faint, so it might not show in the video very well. But basically, I just want a kind of bit of a structure to get started with. This little structure is kind of like key to your success, those 3 equal spaces, yeah? And it's key to your success because what you want is for your proportions not to fail. So if you have those guidelines, you'll know that the eyebrows are going to be at the top, the nose is going to be over here, and bang in the middle of here you're going to have your lips. Even if it's just a guideline, so if I carry this one up, then at the end of the nostrils, I'm gonna have the eyes. And at the end of the smile line, I should have the pupils, yeah? Just so that you know. So that one's a bit wrong, it's a bit off. So as you can tell, it's a very, very vague drawing because I don't want too many lines on charcoal because I'll make my pastels dirty, especially if I'm working on a light color. So I'm just doing a very, very, very faint guideline. Next up, I'm gonna go with a very, very light color because pastels work from light to dark. Okay, so I'm gonna select the shapes of my lightest colors. So I'm looking at shapes of that they make. All the parts that are lighter in my face. And then I'm gonna block them straight away with a pastel. Just a kind of base layer and a guideline. To where things are. Okay, I'm gonna go straight away with a skin tone right next to establish my mids. And my mids are usually going to be, or your mids as well, right next to your lights. It's kind of light mids, yeah? It's not mid, it's a light mid. If you notice any lights I didn't include before, like I'm noticing now, you can just include them now. It's a good time. And I can put that as well as a base, yeah? Following that, I'm gonna start going on with a little bit more warmth. And a bit of a darker value or tone. I still haven't got much definition, and that's fine. Can also use the color of the paper as a tone on its own. And straight away I'm gonna start coming on with some darker ones. Again, I'm just looking at the shapes of where these things are. I'm going to use a bit of feathering to blend it. And I'm actually going to cheat, come over here and get myself some pinky pinks. And some reds. Okay. So I'm getting pink because it's going to blend well between that really intense cadmium yellow that I have and the brown. See, that blends really nicely. And I can start getting in a little bit of color. How am I doing with time? Well, 8 minutes, so I'm about halfway through. So I've just checked the time so I can start being a little bit faster. So I've got a little bit of gray. So when you've got a lot of color going on, it's really, really important that you get like a kind of neutral color in between. Hold on. Yeah, you're gonna change my drawing if I move my hair. So I'm just getting a little bit of grays and some muted tones because I'm just looking at my drawing and I can notice that things are very, very colorful and they're a wee bit too intense. So by getting a neutral color, you kind of like neutralize things a little bit. You can also use something that is kind of like dull, that also works quite well. So see, still we haven't got much definition over here. I'm gonna start defining a little bit the nose. But remember that your darkest colors go always at the end or halfway at the end of your drawing. But if you need to be more specific about where you're putting things, you might need to start introducing them a little bit earlier. So see, straight away with a dark color, you can kind of like bring back the drawing and start giving it a little bit more definition. Yeah, so things are starting to happen. He's making a bit more sense. Kind of need like a darker. And because that's super warm, I'm just gonna dull it down with a little bit of grey using the feathering technique to kind of blend it down. Okay. Feathering, 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 feathering. Okay. I'm gonna get the white of the eyes. Yeah. top lip. Bottom lip I tend to do it with a lighter color. Just looking for something a little bit pointy. Ah. Okay, I need a point. Where have I got a point? There. So I'm just using that little edge for my detail. Detail is really hard with pastels, but I'm gonna show you an easy way. Oh, you're pulling my hair. So if you get one of these ones, a blending stick, you can just drag it around. It becomes a bit easier. Coming out a bit weird, this one, but hey, in life drawing it doesn't always turn out the way you want to. So we're gonna get into the hair straight away. I'm gonna go with my, I'm doing things the wrong way around, there we go. I'm gonna go with my lighter color first. I think if you just put like a kind of base and then come with a black. I'll go way too much curly hair, which is quite difficult to do quickly. Hopefully you guys got straight hair. Can bring on a little bit of highlight here and there. Ooh, that's getting very dirty. Let's see what else we can use for highlight. Perhaps we can get a blue. Okay, and time is up. I think mine came out a bit of a disaster. but we're not always happy with what we do. I think in most cases, I was just doing a Zoom lesson a minute ago, and half of my students were lifting up the drawings through the screen and just showing me very, very embarrassed what they've done, because we're never happy as artists. And then other people go, oh my God, that's amazing. And you go like, oh my God, that's absolutely horrible. But that's the way it tends to go. I think as long as you're not thinking about how pretty or not pretty it looks while you're doing it, that's the main thing. Because if you're conditioning yourself to do something, you know, that you have high expectations, you're kind of like always setting yourself up for failure. So it's always better to think, oh, okay, I'm gonna just have fun, and whatever comes out, and then you cannot go wrong with that. So that's my self-portrait in pastel. Dirty hands, dirty hands, dirty hands, lots of fun. I hope you've enjoyed today's lesson, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. Bye bye. Embarrassed.